What's up and welcome to The Cap, the place we always keep you in the conversation. Today, the Vikings celebrate, Wimbledon's newbie, and the old dog still has the best tricks. All that and more, it's time to get capped. Let's go. Let's kick it off today with some soccer across the pond and get straight to a cold hard fact. Now, Iceland has 332,000 people in its population. That's about what Kentucky has, and yesterday the country experienced its greatest sporting victory ever, and 99% of that population watched it. That's about 329,000 people. Iceland beat England 2-1 in Nice, France yesterday to hand England its greatest upset ever and one of the greatest upsets in European football history. In the game, England looked flat and discombobulated like they didn't have a clue what they were doing, and on the other side of the ball, Iceland defended masterfully and played intelligently and looked like a bunch of veterans. As for the teams after the game, presumably the English players packed for their whale watching trip, while the Iceland players led the coolest clapping celebration you've ever seen. As for the coaches, the English coach stepped down and walked away from $4.6 million a year, while the Iceland coach, who's also a part-time dentist, marches on to the quarterfinals. And as for that Icelandic commentator, who's gaining fame and popularity, well, he lost his mind and his voice again, and he can't wait, just like the rest of us, for the quarterfinal matchup for the home nation of France. Let's hope these Vikings can continue this magical run. On to a little baseball, where the Chicago Cubs are finding their speed again in Cincinnati, thanks in large part to their phenom-turned-superstar Kris Bryant. Bryant had 3 home runs, 2 doubles, and 6 RBIs on the night, as the Cubs beat the Reds 11-8. On to some sad basketball news. Wikipedia describes a summit as a point on a surface that is higher in elevation than all of the points immediately adjacent to it. And this is exactly where Pat Summitt was in the basketball world after 38 seasons for the University of Tennessee Volunteers, capturing 8 national championships. Unfortunately, Pat recently lost her life at the age of 64 to early onset dementia, a type of Alzheimer's, but she will be remembered as one of the greatest coaches in basketball history. Let's jump back across the pond and talk some tennis. Red Oaks is a half-hour comedy from Amazon about a young tennis player who's working at the prestigious and exclusive Red Oaks Country Club during his sophomore and junior year of college. Marcus Willis was a promising young tennis player from the UK who's now 25, living with his parents, teaching kids tennis at just $40 an hour. In fact, he's supposed to teach these kids on Monday at the Warwick Boat Club, but that won't be happening because after winning 6 qualifying matches and being the last player into Wimbledon, he won his first match against Ricardus Berankis in straight sets. Now he moves on to play Roger Federer. And while it seems unlikely the 772nd player in the world can beat the number 3 player who's a major champion, he'll have a chance. And finally, in today's extreme capital, skateboarding legend Tony Hawk set the world on fire at the 1999 X Games in San Francisco by landing the sickest 900 on the vert ramp, something no one else had ever done. Now 17 years later, at the age of 48, he showed us he still got it by going into the warehouse and doing it again. So I guess it's true you can teach an old dog new tricks, but it's definitely true that an old dog will never forget his old tricks. That's it for us today. I'm Brook and you've been capped.